What is going on today, guys? Sticks10 here, and today we're going to take a look at some of the recruits, some teams that they sent me, just some, basically I gave them the instructions of construct a team of 6 for the Sinister Cup. Here's the rankings, give me, it doesn't have to be fully evolved, obviously you fully evolve it and power it up, but give me an idea of what you're thinking for your team right now. And so a couple of them sent me their parties. And so here they are. I'm not going to tell you who they are because I don't want you guys to beat them in a local tournament. I want them to win, and we are going to change these teams up a little bit. Now, first up, here's this team of 6. We've got Poliwrath, Bronzong, we've got Alolan Raichu, Alolan Marowak, Mawile, and then we've got what will be a Chime Echo. Keep in mind, Chime Echo, if you don't give it the second move as a Chimecho, give it as a Chingling, and you'll save 65,000 Stardust. Very important there. So let's go through. I think Poliwrath, first of all, is a solid choice for a fighter. Good. Second one, Bronzong, also good. It's going to be your Psychic type. Next up is going to be kind of a wild card. You'll see it on some people's teams. Alolan Raichu, and then we've got Alolan Marowak, very solid ghost pick, has a good spread against the meta. And we've got Mawile. While it's a steel type, you're actually going to be using it for its bite, and really it doesn't really matter what secondary move it has. I mean, you could run Play Rough if it can get to it. Vice Grip is kind of it's a normal type move, so it doesn't, it's resisted by some and others it's not, so that's kind of up in the air. And then it has, what is this other one? I give Iron Head. And then we've got the Chime Echo, which is going to have, I believe it's extra sensory. So the first one I will look at, we know the first two are solid. Now, the first thing I notice on this team of 6 is that it's extremely weak is Steelix, and Steelix is good in this meta. Jim and Banks, you know it's good. Don't pretend it's not. Anyways, so honestly, 5 of the 6 on this team are going to lose to Steelix, and so that's one thing we kind of need to make sure we're in a better position against it. Some of these are shield dependent, like you could come out on top depending on shield if you can get the bait, if they can get your yada yada, back and forth kind of thing. I want to look at Alolan Raichu against the meta, just so you guys can see that real quick. So we're going to type in a Raichu, as if I could spell it. And we want the Alolan variant. And then we want Spark, Wild Charge, and Thunder Punch, I think are going to be your best options. We're doing one shield, just to give an idea. I do kind of wish PV Poke, if you're listening, I wish there was an option for random shields, just so we kind of knew, like, just as an overall. But as you can see, obviously 9 wins, 10 losses. Let's see what our wins are against. Of course, flying types, water types we're going to win against. Cressula is not going to do a whole lot to us. And then fighters, we also win against a few fighters. Hitmonchan, Medicham, Lucario. Both of the, I think we're going to see Medicham, Lucario. Hitmonchan is kind of a lower tier option, but you could run into 1 or 2 of those possibly. Not going to be as nearly used as other ones. Toxicroak, I don't see it getting used a lot because of Confusion running wild. But then we lose to Bronzong, Dusclops, Alolan Marowak, which makes sense. Bastiodon we lose to, Banette, Haunter, Claydol, and Gardevoir. So that's a lot of things to lose to, but what we're winning against, we know Poliwrath is going to be one of the top things. We also know as a ghost type, Drifloon is going to be one of those that we see a lot of as well. So you're winning against those two, and it's a split coverage there because you're hitting a ghost and you're hitting a fighter. And so that does give you some good options there. As a flex pick, I think Alolan Raichu might be one you see. Empoleon also. So it's kind of on the border there. Like, you're not getting a whole lot of wins, but you do apply a lot of shield pressure with Alolan Raichu because you can get to those wild charge pretty quick. The next one, let's go back and look at the team again. Alolan Marowak, definitely a solid pick. So let's look at Marowak. And then we want the Alolan form. And then Hex, Fire Blast is not the premier option. We want Shadow Ball, Bone Club. And we're going to battle that one out. You can see in the one shield, 14 wins, 7 losses. Alolan Marowak is going to be a beast in this meta. So we could see, we beat the fighters. We beat Claydol. We beat a lot of the psychic types. We beat some of the ghosts. And then let's see, we're still winning against, there's some more ghosts. There's another fighter. So we're losing to Probopass, Poliwrath, either version of it, and Empoleon. So we're losing basically to the true steel types, which are Bastiodon, Steelix, Empoleon, and then we're losing to Poliwrath, either version of Poliwrath. And Probopass is also a true steel type. Yeah. So those are your 4 that you're losing to, and Poliwrath. So that makes it very easy to see that why Alolan Marowak is on so many teams, because you are covering a wide gamut of the meta. You are also losing a Haunter because of Shadow Claw. So that is a solid pick. Now, obviously, it's weak against Steelix, and that is why a lot of people are putting it with Poliwrath. Poliwrath covers a lot of the ghosts. It also covers all your steel types, and it can pick up wins against some of the fighters. Obviously, Medicham is one it's going to struggle against, but your Poliwrath or your Alolan Marowak is going to be one that takes care of that, and that's why you're seeing a lot of the Poliwrath Alolan Marowak as a pair, basically, and then add in something else in there, and you've got a solid set of 3 that can win a majority of matches. Now, it's going to depend on what you lead with and everything like that, and shield usage, but that's a solid place to start at least. So, let's go back to the team. Mawile. I want to take a look at it because it has interesting matchups, guys. So we're going to run Bite. Play Rough. Vice Grip is going to be for shield baiting. I don't know if you really need to shield bait, or if you even need a second move. Honestly, on Mawile, I'm not sure, guys. So we got 11 wins, 12 losses. You can see we beat Haunter, Banette. All of our psychic types are going to lose. All of our ghost types, it looks like. Dusclops is going to be a very close one because of that Fire Punch, guys. And Alolan Marowak also beats it, so keep that in mind. And then you're going to lose to Steel and the Fighters. So Steel and Fighters you're losing to. So you need something that covers both of those. Bronzong, we haven't really talked about it, but Bronzong does actually cover a lot of those weaknesses. Confusion, Psyshock, and then we're going to want to run Bulldoze. Battle that one out. You can see 13 wins, 9 losses. Has a very favorable matchup, but we are losing to some of the ghosts, of course. We're losing to Claydol because we are weak to the ground earth powers there. Lucario, Steelix, Mawile, Dusclops, Empoleon. There's quite a few things. You can see Empoleon keeps showing up. I know it's I feel like it's a little underrated right now. I haven't seen a lot of people running Empoleon on their teams. And I think it's something you guys are going to want to look at for this meta. So, back to this. And then we've got Chime Echo. Let's look at Chime Echo real quick. I don't think you really need to run double. It's extra sensory, so I was right earlier. I think that's what I said. Shadow Ball and Psyshock. So Psyshock is really good. I don't see a case for Energy Ball because really the things you're going to be hitting you don't need that, except I guess Empoleon or Poliwrath, but I still think Shadow Ball or Psyshock is going to do plenty to those. And you can see 10 wins, 12 losses. Our top ones are the Fighters, so we are beating the Fighters again. We do beat Haunter thanks to it being weak to Psychic type. Dusclops, Gallade, we beat Gallade, so that's good. I'm going to recommend getting rid of at least Chime Echo. You don't need that many psychic types. You could replace it with another ghost type. That still leaves you weak to some of the steals. So my other recommendation would be to run Empoleon or Steelix. Steelix would give you a lot of coverage. Obviously, it would still lose to Empoleon, but you have Alolan Raichu there, and so that is actually going to play off each other fairly well. Keep in mind, these are recruits. They haven't been doing PvP very much, and so they don't have a whole like gamut of all of Season 1 Pokemon to go and just throw in a team. They're literally trying to make a team with 400,000 Stardust and have enough for the next cup as well. So that's why we're trying to pick ones that are fairly inexpensive, but we know that can be used in future cups. That's my review of this team. Overall, weak to Steelix. A couple changes to kind of rotate the team a little bit, and I think this would be in a lot better position. Now, let's take a look at the second team that was submitted. All right, guys, so what we've got here is the second team. We've got Bastiodon, Drifloon, Dusclops, Steelix, Banette, and Medicham. Now, what I'm going to tell you right now is I'm dropping Medicham. Why? Because it is the IVs are so low. Like, honestly, I feel like you would be better served going to find even a bad Poliwrath that's close to that'll evolve to close to 1500 and powering it up just a little bit and unlocking it for 50,000 than spending the amount of Stardust on a mediocre Medicham. So let's get rid of that. Second thing I noticed is running 3 ghost types. This is going to invite a lot of Poliwrath. Poliwrath is going to run rampant, and this team is fairly weak to Poliwrath. So, next thing I notice is there is not a true psychic type on this team. We discussed this a little bit, and the reason why you need a psychic type is to go in and do damage to those fighters. And right now, we don't have anything that can really counter the fighters. That is why I'm going to recommend Gardevoir. Now, I haven't seen a lot of people talking about Gardevoir, but Gardevoir in this meta with not Charge Beam, I don't know why they gave us Charge Beam, with Charm, guys. With Charm and only Synchronoise. So let's battle this out, and you can see it has 13 wins, 9 losses. Now, it's going to beat a lot of things fairly quickly, and if they don't get out of there quick enough, they are going to lose HP like crazy. Poliwrath, Lucario, Toxicroak, which I don't think we'll see a lot of Toxicroak, as I said before, Hitmonchan, Gallade, and Poliwrath with Bubble. It is a little different than the Poliwrath with Mudshot. Alolan Raichu, Medicham, Claydol, Drifloon, Lugia, Cresselia, Banette, Gardevoir is a tie. And then we're losing to Haunter, Mawile, Bronzong, Empoleon, Dusclops. You can see the list. We're losing to a lot of the steel types, obviously, because we're not going to be hitting very hard, and we're not going to be getting to very many charge moves. We might get lucky and hit one. But what I'm going to tell y'all is it doesn't need a second charge move. It doesn't. It doesn't change the matchups enough to even worry about. And that saves you 75,000 candy guy or 75,000 Stardust. That in itself is enough to make it a top pick for me if you're just getting into PvP. Hopefully you guys got one during the community day. And honestly, Charm, Synchronoise, that's all you need. Do not unlock a second charge move. Save 75,000 Stardust. So I told them, let's get rid of either Dusclops or Drifloon, whichever one's going to be cheaper to get powered up all the way and unlock a second charge move. That's one we want to keep. Get rid of the other one. Pick your choice. I don't really care. Between them, they have different matchups, but they serve a similar purpose as far as a bulky ghost that can do quite a bit. Drifloon obviously has a ton of HP, and if you're not prepared for it, you could really be in a world of hurt. Banette is fine with me. I've been running it. Shadow Claw, it's a little bit bulkier than Haunter, but still really good. Bastiodon Steelix there in that role. I've seen both being run, and I understand why. But as far as from saving Stardust, you don't want to do both, because you're going to be spending 75,000 to unlock both moves, and then you've got to power them all the way up as well. Steelix, I think, is going to be better in this situation for this person, for the recruit. So keeping Steelix, keeping Drifloon. I think Drifloon is going to be cheaper. I could run that, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be cheaper in the long run, because you've got to almost max out Dusclops to make it viable. And then Banette. So what are we missing at this point? We don't have a good fighter. Now the options are, I think the best option for this person is going to be Poliwrath. Now if we can't get a good Poliwrath, or one that's close and evolves up, Lucario is another good option. And Lucario is a good option because it has Shadow Ball, and that can do quite a bit in this meta. Let's look at Lucario. Obviously, Lucario is going to have problems. And the main problem with Lucario is that it's going to lose to the fighting types. We know that. So we're going to put Shadow Ball on it. Counter, Power Up Punch, and Shadow Ball. Now, you can see 8 wins, 13 losses in the 1 shield scenario here. We are winning against the steel types. We do win against Bronzong, Empoleon, Cresselia, because we are resisting Psychic, or neutral to it because of the steel typing. So we do stand a better chance there. We are tying with Poliwrath, losing to Raichu, and then we're losing to Mudshot, Power Up Punch, Hydro Pump. So obviously it's getting to a Hydro Pump, which is changing that quite a bit. And then we're losing hard to Gardevoir, Drifloon, Haunter, Dusclops, Metacham. All right, so what do we need to do on this team? We need to pick between Bastiodon Steelix. So let's eliminate one of those just for dust savings is the main reason. And that's the same reason why I want to eliminate either Dusclops or Drifloon, just for dust, to save some dust there. And we're going to eliminate Metacham because of the same reason. Now I think we throw Poliwrath in here. Poliwrath, Lucario are going to be 2 options for this cup that are good as well. So one of those 2 for our fighter position. Then for our psychic position, I am going to recommend Gardevoir in there for that. And then let's see, do we have one more position available? I believe we do. So it can be a flex pick. I might recommend Empoleon here, but that does leave you a little, you don't have a lot of shield bait options. So Alolan Marowak could replace Banette. I don't think you want to run 3 ghosts. The other option would be maybe Claydol. Claydol might be good as well. I'm not sure on this team. Like this one's kind of a funky one for me to get my head around on the coverages for it. But I do think Steelix, pick up a different fighter, and then we've got Drifloon. Banette is, I think Banette's fine. Like I've been testing with it quite a bit, and I like it, but it doesn't hit quite as hard as Haunter. But it also doesn't have the weakness to Psychic that Haunter has. So that's kind of a trade-off there between the 2. So I think that's a pretty good place to start. Obviously, the recruits have, right now, both of them that submitted teams have about 400,000 Stardust or so to work with. And so we're trying to build a team where they're using just part of that So guys, hopefully that helps you a little bit. I know this video was kind of long going through these teams. Hopefully it gives you a good idea of some of the matchups of different Mons. If you guys enjoy this format, let me know below in the comments. Maybe something I could do a little differently, something like that. Let me know in the comments, like, subscribe, comment, all that business that you guys normally do. And as always, guys, keep on battling.